Hello everybody and welcome. Today we are asking the question, what is the highest maximum stamina that you can possibly push in the Elder Scrolls Online? Well, I have gone onto the PTS and I've put together two separate builds to answer this question. We're going to take a look at both of these builds in human and werewolf form, but at the end of the day, the werewolf is going to push the highest stamina that you can possibly push in this game. If you guys like this video, feel free to hit that like button at any time. If you guys are new here, hit that subscribe button. And without further ado, guys, let's take a look at the highest stamina possible. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so let's take a look at this build. So to start off, we are a wood elf. You can pick a bunch of different races for this. Wood elf, orc, imperial, red guard. They are all going to work for a maximum stamina build simply because they all give 2k maximum stam, which is exactly what we need for this spec. Now, taking a look at our attributes, of course, we have gone full maximum stamina, and now let's take a look at that stat page. We have got a whopping 61k maximum stamina, and that is just in human form. And then to go along with the 61k stamina on this build, we've also got 2,100 stamina recovery, buff up with the potion just for fun, and we've got 2,400 stamina recovery. Now, I just thought that I would point out the recovery on this spec, just because this spec, the idea behind it is to look at the maximum stat that we can push, but because we can easily put so much stamina recovery on a build like this, I think that it has some actual in-game viability for sure. And when we buff up with the Warhorn, we go up to 65,000 stamina. And finally, guys, when we jump into Wolf mode ourself with the Warhorn buff, we've got a whopping 75.6k stamina on this spec. Huge amounts of stamina. When we did the Max Magicka spec, I think the highest we got was just over 80k. And this is not even the best Max Stam spec that I have to show you guys. And the weapon damage, the weapon crit, our physical spell resist, and our crit resist, these are all not really important stats for this build. I didn't really stack any of them. I just focused strictly on that maximum stamina. But if you want to make this build viable, it's good to have a decent amount of crit resist for it. We've got a lot of divines infused on, so you could add viability to this build at the cost of just a little bit of maximum stamina. Now, taking a look at the Mundus that we're using on this spec, we've got the Tower Mundus. Of course, this is going to give us even more max stam. We are a werewolf. This is very important. Turning into a werewolf gives us a 30% bonus to our maximum stamina. So we have to be a werewolf to push the highest max stam that we can in the game. And then finally, we are using the increased maximum stamina food. Now, this food is a simple 150 green food, and it just increases your maximum stamina. You can use other food to add more viability to this build, something like Dubious Cameron Throne or something like that to give you the sustain, the hit points, and the stam. But for the sake of our stat page, we went with the green food to push the highest amount of stamina that we possibly could. So, what gear are we running to put this monster build together? Well, starting in our monster set, we of course have the single one-piece maximum stam, and we've got Selines and Celstrix. You can use any one-piece maximum stam monster set here. It's just important that we have both the max stam in both these slots. Now, for our armor, we have got a full set of Hulking Draugr. This is quite simply put the highest maximum stamina bonus that you can get in the game outside of Imperial City. So, yep, that's why we picked the set. Gotta have the biggest amount of stat that we possibly can. Taking a look at our next set, we actually have a 3-piece Essence Thief. Now, this 3-piece is going to give us max stam, max stam. It doesn't have to be Essence Thief. There are other 3-piece sets in the game that give you the max stam here, but it's important that you get the max stam to pair it with the Agility set for that maximum stamina. Now, something I want to mention here is that this build is to push the highest maximum stam that we possibly can in the game. So this is the only way that we can actually push that max stam and run food. Now, another option to put here would actually be the Bone Pirate set. And Bone Pirate is a fantastic option because it actually gives you a base of 4,000 maximum stamina, 2,000 off the 5-piece, and then 1k and 1k in the 2 and 4 pieces. But the reason that we can't run Bone Pirate on this build is because it requires you to have a drink buff active. So for that reason, we have opted out and gone for the little bit less max stam that comes from the agility and the Essence Thief combo. However, we can run much more maximum stamina in the food because there's no drink in the game that is going to make up for the amount of stam that we lose having to run a drink. But in the interest, yet again, of making this build more combat viable, I think that Bone Pirate would be a fantastic option, especially because you're likely going to be putting something like Dubious Cameroon Throne to make this build work really well anyway. Now, taking a look at the traits on this build, guys, we have got, of course, Infused on our shield here to push even more maximum stam. Nirnhoned on the weapon and Infused on our back weapon, not important at all. For the sake of viability on the build, I think Nirnhoned main weapon is awesome, but you can go with other traits if you want. Now, for the jewelry, we have gone with Full Robust. Very important to push our max stam as high as possible. And then we have also got Stamina Recovery. Now, Stamina Recovery I put here because I wanted to have some sustain on this build. If you wanted to make this combat viable and make the changes that I've talked about, you could actually just go for weapon damage here because you'll be getting a lot of sustain from changing up your food and changing out these sets to something like Bone Pirate. And then finally, taking a look at the gear that we're wearing, we have, of course, full maximum stamina enchants. Only way to push that max stam. On our big pieces, the legs, the head, and the body, we have got Infused trait to push that max stam enchant even further. And then on our little pieces, we have got full divines to give us even more max stam on our stamina mundus. Now, of course, if you wanted to add combat viability to this build, you would put a mix of Well-Fitted and Impen instead of the Infused Divines on the trait, but yet again, Infused Divines is the best way to go for that stat page. Alright, so we're going to take a look at the skills that we're using on this build, but we're not going to take a look at all of them because you can really use whatever skills you want. I am using Sword and Board to push the highest max stam that we can, and if you want to push that max stam really far, Sword and Board is the only weapon that can push it to its limit. So for that reason, I have got Sword and Board on my main bar, but the most important skill that we have slotted here is Bound Armaments. Sorcerer uniquely is the only class in the game that gets a maximum stamina bonus increaser. There is no other class in this game that gets a bonus to their max stam. It's only Sorcerer, and it's only through the Bound Armaments skill. We get an 8% bonus to our max stam for having this bad boy slotted. So this is the important skill that we have coming from Sorcerer here. And then finally, the next important skill is the Werewolf Ultimate. And that's simply because turning into Werewolf is going to give us 30% additional stamina, and that is going to give us a huge amount because we have that huge amount of base stamina on this build already. Now, taking a look at our back bar, yet again, you can throw whatever skills you want here, preferably the buffs that you need. But the one skill that I did want to mention is Aggressive Horn. And in this video, I did mention that we are getting the Horn buff from another player, and this is how you're going to be getting that buff. They will slot the Aggressive Horn, and they'll buff up your stam. You can, of course, buff your own stam if you're not going to go into werewolf form, but in werewolf form, you're not going to be able to Aggressive Horn yourself, so you will be relying on another player to get this 10% stamina buff. And the important passives that I wanted to highlight for this build are, of course, our Undaunted passives, the Undaunted Metal, giving us a 2% bonus to max health, magicka, and stamina per type of armor equipped. So we get a 6% bonus to our stam in total, which is just going to help us push that max stat even further. And that is actually the only passive that we are using to increase our maximum stamina. The armor weight that we're wearing is actually not important at all. The only reason that we're in medium armor is because, of course, we have Hulking Draugr on, but if we were to do this spec with the Imperial Physique, we could even push the same amount of stamina in light or heavy armor. You get no bonus to your max stam from the armor trees here, so it has no effect on that stat. And then finally, guys, for the champion points, there were just a few things I wanted to mention. You guys obviously don't want to run these champion points if you want to run something like this. I just did the champion points to reflect the fact that we're going for a max stat sheet build. But the important thing that I wanted to say is that you get 20% bonus to your maximum stamina across the board for having at least 100 points in your green tree or putting at least 300 points in all your trees total. Alright, so let's take a look at the second spec that we have for you guys here, and we're going to take a look at it in human and werewolf form as well. I guess wood elf form. So In this build, we of course have switched out to run Imperial Physique, and we are coming in at 65.8k maximum stamina at our base value. So we're going to buff up with the Warhorn to begin. With our Warhorn buff, we come up to nearly 71k maximum stamina in human form, and for the icing on the cake, here we go with werewolf form, ladies and gentlemen. Our maximum stamina value that we can achieve in the game is just shy of 82,000 maximum stamina with 2,000 recovery. This build looks even, dare I say, viable. So what is the gear change up for this spec here? We of course have taken out our 3-piece maximum stamina in the jewelry, and we've taken out the agility and replaced it with the Imperial Physique. And of course we have 10k plus Telvar in the Imperial City, giving us that massive amount of base max stamina, magicka, and health. 7,224 base stat. Huge amount of stat to come from this set. And yeah, this is kind of the conditional spec. I mean, this is not really realistic that you can run this set all the time. It's only ever going to be when you're in Imperial City and you have the Telvar. Otherwise, there are no changes made to the traits here. We've gone full robust with infused yet again for the maximum stamina that we can push, and the full stamina recovery on our enchants as well. So that is the end of the video, guys. I'm actually pretty surprised that we pushed higher maximum stamina than we could magicka. I honestly thought that we'd be able to push more magicka, but Werewolf coming in strong and showing us what's what. So if you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you guys are new here, hit that subscribe button. I play live on Twitch. If you guys want to see some live Twitch gameplay, you guys can find a link to my Twitch down below in the description. We feature community content, be it a top 5 PvP clip or even a build. You guys can send it in to KristoferESO@hotmail.com. And of course, there is a link in the description with more information if you guys need. And then finally, guys, we are sponsored by What the Fast. They're a VPN for gamers. They give me better ping to ESO. They're completely free to try for the first 14 days. So if you guys want to give them a shot, you can. And that's it, guys. I really enjoyed putting this particular max stat build together. It was very fun. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it as well. I hope that you guys have a great night, and I hope to see you again next time.